This review is brought to you by Netflix. All right, first review of the year for me, and this one is for Octodad, Dadliest Catch. Wasn't really sure what to expect from this game going in, but here are my thoughts.
Dad, Laminaria is yellow. Hurry, hit all three.
Of all the bizarre games out there, Octodad, Dadliest Catch is surely one of the strangest. Known for its intense difficulty and intentionally convoluted control scheme, this is a game that refuses to take itself seriously. One where absurdity reigns supreme, and only the most determined will emerge victorious.
Honey, what's going on over there?
The plot of Octodad is about as silly as it comes. You play a loving husband and father whose primary goal is hiding the fact that you're an octopus from the rest of the human world. It's a necessary job, and one that's especially crucial when your family decides to take an impromptu trip to the aquarium. What begins as a nice family outing quickly spirals into a wild goose chase after the local chef, one of the few people with seemingly functioning eyes, suspects you may not be entirely human.
I will turn you into moderately priced sushi rolls.
It's a ridiculous premise whose absurdity is rivaled only by the game's unwavering difficulty. The control scheme is purposefully unintuitive, requiring you to independently move each leg while simultaneously maneuvering your arms in order to grab objects. The end result is something akin to a 3D Q-op. Difficult to learn, impossible to master, and clearly intended for a very specific audience. It's so challenging that the simple act of moving from one place to the next forms the basis of the entire game. Move slowly and deliberately, and everyone will be none the wiser. But the second you start to bump into people or knock stuff over, the detection meter at the bottom of the screen fills up, and your disguise becomes compromised. It's definitely one of the more unique mechanics out there, but it doesn't always work as intended. Even in the early stages of the game, where you're pretty much knocking over everything in sight, the detection meter barely flinches. People just don't seem to care.
You're not even dressed.
It's possible this is some metaphorical statement about humans and the wool we pull over our eyes, but chances are it's just bad calibration. The majority of the time, the detection meter is only relevant when you're around biologists, whose trained eyes are able to see through your disguise simply by glancing in your direction. I suppose it's better that these sequences are rare, since it would be nearly impossible to beat the game otherwise, but the tension that they offer is something that could have benefited more of the game. That's not to say there aren't moments that put your skills to the test. In fact, many of the game's most challenging scenarios don't even concern the outside world. It's simply Octodad trying to do what most dads take for granted. Shopping at a grocery store, making your morning coffee, mowing the lawn. Eventually, you reach a point where the situations are so ridiculously off the wall, you can't help but laugh. This is where the masochistic genius of the level design shines through. For as brutal as the game is, it wastes no opportunity to throw you in a room and watch as you helplessly flop around, wondering if you'll ever make it out alive.
You fell into my trap! Octopus!
Spoiler alert, you will, but not without a fight. As fun as sequences like these are, there are certain aspects of the game that feel woefully underdeveloped. The camera controls are perhaps the worst offender, and something that, unfortunately, due to the control scheme, you have no influence over. Not being able to see what you're doing because your view is partially obscured is unacceptable for a game that demands so much precision from its players. Likewise, cooperative multiplayer, where both players control the same Octodad, seems inappropriate given the nature of the game. It's hard enough trying to control Octodad as one person, but working in tandem to control each separate limb is a challenge akin to the Olympics. The sheer ridiculousness of it is good for a few laughs, but I can't imagine anyone actually progressing through the game this way. In my experience, it's equally as enjoyable watching someone else play and then taking over when their frustration reaches its limit. Even in single player, Octodad is still an excellent group game, as the collective joy of victory it imparts is only heightened when shared amongst friends. If you do decide to go it alone, then remember, this game is not for everyone. You may love it or you may hate it, but as long as you have a sense of humor and a lot of patience, then chances are you can appreciate its charm. Octodad, Dadliest Catch gets a 3 out of 5. All right, let's take a quick moment to thank our sponsor, Netflix. Netflix is the absolute best way to stream your favorite shows and movies without the need for a monthly cable subscription. All you need is an internet connection and a Netflix-enabled device like a PC or Mac, smartphone, or video game console. For a limited time, you can get a free trial membership and support Rev3 Games in the process by signing up at netflix.com/Rev3Games. Well, there you have it. As I said multiple times in this review, this is a very particular game and everybody's experience is going to be different, but personally I found it much easier to appreciate the game after I had already finished it and my frustration had more of a chance to temper a little bit. So take that for what it's worth. Other than that, the game comes out today for PC, Mac, and Linux. It's on Steam. As always, if you guys have questions or comments, leave them below and I will try my best to answer them. Thanks for watching.